friends and family. Welcome back to the channel. It's the same old story. Life has been so busy. I've been ready for fall since the 1st of June, but fall will come, and that's good. So today, my dog Parker is on the couch. He's being restless because usually I'm petting him on the couch. Anyways, I wanted to challenge myself, and in challenging myself, that means I just create an actual TBR. This is my stack of books that live on the top shelf of my bookshelf. And when I finish a book and am in need of reading another, this is the only stack I can pick from until they are finished. I'm an incredibly moody reader. And the problem with that is that I will often I will find books online, or I will go into the stores and I will purchase a book, and that will become my next read. And the problem with that is that books that I have interest in rot on my shelf. So what I've done here is I've compiled a list or a stack of books where there are some new things, new additions in here, but then there are also books that have been sitting on my shelf for the past year or two. So let's talk about them. First up on the stack is Notes from the House of the Dead by Dostoevsky. Right now, I'm currently reading another book that is not on the stack because it's in my book bag, which is The Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich. Now, that is set like over 100 years, or maybe just 100 years, somewhere in that range, after this book was kind of like written, and they both chronicle prison stories in Russia. However, Dostoevsky was in prison prior to the Bolshevik Revolution and the USSR, becoming Russia. So as I'm reading the life of Ivan Denisovich, or Ivan Denisovich, I never know if it's Ivan or Ivan, because I know it's kind of different depending where you are. But I'm American, so I'll say Ivan. Reading that currently, it's just kind of re-sparked this interest in that section of history. There's something so, like, I don't know what to say about it. It's like haunting and frightening, and kind of crazy. Like I read it, and I know that The Day in the Life is fiction, but I also know that it is like a retelling of events, and it's mind-boggling to me that something like that actually could exist and did exist, and people lived through that, and that was their lives. I say all that to say, now I think is a good time where I can repick this back up and fly through it. I feel like this would be a book that complements that as well. And I've been wanting, or I've had this book on my shelf for a long time. I've tried to read it a few times, and I just get bored because I'm moody, but I think in the circumstance where it's something I am requiring myself to read, this will be a good shot. Also, I miss Dostoevsky a lot. I know this isn't like his other works, but I miss him. Then next up we have The Orchard Keeper by Cormac McCarthy. This might come as a surprise, being as he's my favorite author, but there are works by him I have still not read. I've not read his plays, and I've not read this, which is so weird. I think the reason I haven't read this is because it is, sorry, my dog is like under the pillow right now. He's trying to get, okay, here, let me help him out. I've not read this one, and I think that's largely in part due to the fact that it's expensive and there's not a lot of book here. My buddy Brian, who I mentioned in my last video, actually bought this and read it and was like, this might be one of my favorites. So he lent this to me and wants me to read it. So Lord willing, I will get to this one pretty quickly. I have almost no idea what this one's about, other than it is his debut novel, and that his editor told Cormac McCarthy, a 26-year-old Cormac McCarthy, the same age as me, that the book originally was too dense and would not appeal to mass audiences. I am dense in other ways at 26. Then we have A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. The reason I am interested in Ernest Hemingway is because I recently finished Libra by Don DeLillo, and Hemingway was brought up a few times in there. Now, I've tried to read Hemingway before. I used to have a collection of his short stories, but I never touched it, and I ended up selling it, which I am kind of upset about. And then The Old Man and the Sea is another Hemingway that I've tried and is sitting on my shelf over there. but I know at certain points in his life, Hemingway was a lot stronger than at others. And I think what's kind of drawing me towards Hemingway now is that I read a lot of very maximalist prose, if you will, where it's very aggressive and kind of bashes you over the head in its language, where Hemingway takes a very simple and clean approach, which I think is super cool and maybe a little bit laid back. And I want to see kind of how that works, because with these other writers who write so verbosely, there's a lot of things kind of hidden under the surface. And I wonder if you can achieve that in the simple, sparse prose that Hemingway writes with. So we have A Farewell to Arms. Also, the story really intrigued me. And then next up we have, not really next up, but just next in showing you. I didn't mention this earlier. I can pick from any one of these books. These aren't in an order of reading them. It's just a matter of how I stacked them. But we have The People Immortal by Valissi Grossman. I've talked about it before. I am so interested in Stalingrad. I am so interested in Life and Fate. And to be honest, without even having read the man at all, I am interested in Valissi Grossman just because of his story. Being a wartime reporter on the front lines of World War II. And the man wrote so much. New York Review Books has so many books from him. Like either short stories or collections of stories or even essays that he has written during his time being a reporter. And the premise of this one sounded really interesting, and I thought, it's kind of a quicker read. I have no idea when I'm going to get to Stalingrad and Life and Fate. Maybe this winter, we will see. But I think just kind of getting this as kind of an introduction to the way he writes and the way stories are formulated is really interesting. Also, I recently watched 1917, which, if you don't know, is a movie that takes place during World War I. And I feel like the little boy in me who loved learning or reading or watching movies or playing games that were centered around war feels like it's been peaked again, which is, it's not that I'm pro-war, but I think there's something so interesting and terrible about it. And yeah, I guess, I don't know. There's not something I can say here that makes me be like, that sounds like normal in my head, but this just sounds incredible. This cover is beautiful. I love the tank and the flowers. I just love New York Review Books. Shout out them. When I posted my picture originally, someone saw the Library of America hardcovers and this collection this next book contains. They were like, oh, this doesn't look like a lot of reading, but once you realize how big the books are, that's a pretty good amount. And I just kept thinking like, oh Lord, your standards are a little too high for me. I am not reading the entirety of Faulkner's novels from 1930 to 1935. I will be reading one though. I need to read Faulkner. I own so much by Faulkner. I have never read him, and I know at some point I'm just going to get over the fact that I can't understand it. So I think what I will end up reading from here is As I Lay Dying. I think that's kind of a quick one. It's very experimental. It's different. It's odd. It's macabre, if you will. But I think that will be the Faulkner that I will end up forcing myself to read, because I've tried Light in August. Not really. I only a few pages. I've tried Sanctuary. I got like 50 pages into Sanctuary and put it down. I tried Go Down Moses. I got like 15 pages into that, and recurringly, the most suggested place to start is As I Lay Dying. And I think the formatting of it is it's just a little intimidating, which has been the reason I kind of didn't go for that one instantly. But at some point, I'm going to make myself read it. And whether I understand it or enjoy it or not, I think I will be happy that I at least read Faulkner. Next up, we have Albert Camus. I read The Plague a few years ago, I think. It was pretty good and kind of not that great at the same time, but I figured I should make a return to him. So we're going to read The Fall, which sounds incredibly interesting. Kind of a man reflecting on his life and the things he wanted or aspired to be and where he was at that point and the things he wanted to do. And then, I think this all takes place in a bar. So I think returning to Camus will be kind of nice. I don't know why. It's just kind of been on my mind lately, which is weird. So we will make a return to Albert Camus via The Fall. We have Silas Marner by George Eliot. Middlemarch is this mammoth and this titan in classic literature that everyone loves and adores, and they consider it so highly. So knowing that, back when I first got into reading, I found this at a used bookstore and I bought it, and it has been sitting on my shelf for almost 3 years now. And it's a quick work, but I think I don't even know anything about this, but I think the allure of George Eliot and the way people describe their experiences with not just Middlemarch, but this book, kind of draws me to it. It's been sitting on my shelf for so long. I need to have at least a few classics. Most of the stuff you'll see is from the 1900s. This is the 1800s, which I do love the literature from, but have read quite a bit from that time period, so that's why I'm kind of moving into the 20th century, but I'd like to take a little step back into the 19th century. So, Silas Marner by George Eliot. And then right here we have the collected works of Flannry OConnor. I actually have no idea which work in here I will read. Maybe Wise Blood or The Violent Bear It Away or something. I don't know. I hear such fantastic praise of Flannry OConnor and the way that she is able to write a kind of a shorter length novel, very shorter length novel, and get so many points across, and you feel complete afterward. I think that's my problem with some of these shorter works or short stories in general, is that it is very hard to feel satisfied at the end of it, because there's not like some lengthy journey you're going on. If you are wrapping up a story in 100 pages or 70 or 80 pages, I don't know why I went down and then back up there. I feel like it's very tough, at least for me, or maybe it's just a point of appreciation that I lack. But to make that feel gratifying at the end of it, and so I think this is going to be a way to help ease me more into that, because I've just heard so much good about her, and what I have heard that she has written, it's beautiful, and the stories seem so right up my alley. So heck, I might even read 2 things out of this book. Lord knows. Might just finish one story and get right into the next one. But yeah, Flannry OConnor, someone that is often, at least in the Southern Gothic style, paired with people like Hemingway or early McCarthy and stuff like that, which again, right up my alley. And then we have Amundsen's Luck by William H. Gass. Sad story, I pre-ordered The Tunnel by Darkly Archive, or Darky Archive, there's an L in there somewhere. I don't know if there's an R, Darkly Archive. I pre-ordered it on Amazon because I saw it was available back in early February, and they were like, hey, this title will ship July 1st. July 1st, I get an email from Amazon telling me that I'm not getting it. So I went to their website, and it looks like the book might actually come out in April of 2026, and that was a book I was really excited about. There's an allure to The Tunnel, just knowing the history of it and how brutal and beautiful it is, that draws me to it. And for those of you who watched my last video, you'll know that I was reading some stories from In the Heart of the Country by William Gass, and A Life on Books actually came on my Instagram Reels randomly one day talking about this book. And I've seen it floating around, so I was like, I will get it. Gass is just such an incredible and neat writer in the way he layers and puts sentences together. There's something weird about it. Like when I finished The Pedersen Kid, it was so it was unique, and that was an example of a short story where I felt fulfilled afterward, but still kind of wanting more, because it was like, man, this guy writes with such a unique flavor. I lack the words to describe it. It almost gives me the same feelings I had when I started reading McCarthy, which no other author, at least in terms of the lyricism of their sentences, has made me feel that way before. So this is in here. I don't really know what it's about. I think this is kind of set in Midwest America, which is where I'm from, which is cool. And I think it's about like people in this town and things, goings-ons, if you will. So we have that in here. Yes. And then the last on the stack, we have Steinbeck. I really, 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 for the life of me, want to read East of Eden. But then there's that conflict in me where it's like, well, if I start with potentially the best, will I enjoy anything else? But then I'm like, well, what if the best is so good it just draws me further into reading this author? Because that's kind of how I want to be, with literature. Is I want to explore authors in their entirety, and I've only really done that. Well, not in their entirety, but a lot of their work with like McCarthy and Dostoevsky. Now I have 2 Don DeLillo books in my belt as well, who's another author I think I will be returning to as the years go on. But something about East of Eden has been speaking to me lately. I've heard incredible things about it. I've heard incredible quotes about it. And even kind of like the story in itself kind of draws a parallel to things like Brothers Karamazov, where it's kind of like this family and this drama that happens within this family, which is, obviously Brothers Karamazov, my favorite book of all time. I don't know how it couldn't be. And so hearing stuff like that, and then hearing how it's deeply philosophical in its way, is something I love. I feel like I've been reading a lot of not books like that, which is okay. I don't have the brain power right now. I'm from working so much to process these things, where it's like I feel like if I did have a book like that, I would read one page, not understand anything, and then go the next day read another page, not remembering anything about the page I read before. But that's just besides the point. This book has been sitting on my shelf for 2 years now, actually. Yeah, because I remember every year on my birthday, since I got into reading, I go with my parents and we do a little book crawl. And yeah, I bought this in a different city than the places we went to last year, or this past year, for my birthday. So yeah, that is here. But I also, this single volume has Canary Row, The Moon is Down, The Pearl, which I've heard really good things about Canary Row. I've heard great things about The Pearl. And so we will see. Again, this might be a case where I read more than one work out of this book. East of Eden is a very long story. So it's kind of like a little mammoth in its own right. So yeah, I'm just yapping. Okay, beloved, I'm gonna edit this video really quick and get it up, and hopefully read. I might watch some TV. I did work today, and like I just said, the week has been very long. So may read, may not read, may just chill for right now, and read a lot tomorrow. So I love you. God bless. Thank you for joining me on my channel. Lord willing, this winter I will have more creative videos other than just holding a book and talking about what I like about the book. I have an idea for a video I would like to make, which chronicles or talks about my favorite passage or section from any book I've ever read. Those who know me personally could probably guess what it is, but I think that'll be a fun one, kind of explore the themes a little more and what really appealed to me within it, and how life-changing that section was. So again, beloved, I love you. God bless. Happy reading. I hope fall comes soon. Okay, we'll see you later.